You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Ever have that one movie everyone assumes you've seen, but you haven't? You know the one, the classic, the cult favorite, the how have you not seen that movie? Welcome to the Shameless Picture Show. Twice a month, I sit down with a guest who finally crossed one of those films off our shame lists. Sometimes it's their first watch, and sometimes it's mine. But sometimes it's new for both of us. Then we dive in, the characters, the craft, the cultural impact, and whether it actually lives up to the hype. From legendary classics to cult oddities to the films we somehow missed along the way, join us as we turn movie shame into movie discussion. This is the Shameless Picture Show.
The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Frightmares Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for episode 385 is my good friend, Ryan Verrill. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Not nearly as busy as you, but kid got pink eye recently and some viral infection, so it's been hectic in a different way for me. But today on another installment of Kaijune Destroy, we're talking our domestic pick because, like I mentioned last episode, every film has been international, and then we did one domestic, which is Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2019, a movie that features our chonky boy, of course, along with Mothra, Ghidorah, and Rodan, but interrupts nearly every awesome fight between them with family drama. Let's see where this lands on the Nightmare Index. That is TikTok. I need Letterboxd. All right, Ryan, I know you are an incredibly busy man, but have you watched anything of value lately? What am I hearing? Oh, it's my fucking TikTok is playing. Okay. This is my Monday. Have you watched anything recently in your very small free time, or maybe acquired anything for Antenna that you can talk about?
Not much that I can talk about for Antenna. The stuff that we've announced that we've acquired, I feel like I've talked about enough, so I'll let everybody just go look at our socials for that. But I will say, it being Father's Day recently, one of my big favorite things recently is showing movies to my kids that I either grew up with or love or saw too early and went, oh, hey, maybe we could show them slightly too early too.
Yes!
So yesterday we had I won't say like an all-day marathon. We did our best, but we watched 3 movies, which for me is like a month's worth of viewing in one day.
Yeah.
We saw one that was very this show, so we'll leave that one to last. First one we showed them Princess Bride.
Okay.
They were locked in from the beginning. They were into it. They liked it plenty. It wasn't their favorite, but I think they enjoyed it. I laughed like crazy because, I don't know, 2.5 minutes in, my oldest goes, "Is that Andre the Giant?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir. Yes, that is." And good God, did we get lots of wrestling jokes the entire movie.
Okay, so the kids are a wrestling fan, I assume, then?
Absolutely.
Yep.
He is a massive wrestling fan. So we followed that up with, and we wanted to get this a little more upbeat, we'll say. And so for the first time, they got to see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which kind of blew them away. And my oldest, not only a wrestling fan, also turning into a little bit of a history buff. And so It was a really fun mix of interest for him. And he was like, oh, this is like making history fun, and genuinely just locked in and loved the movie, and was really happy with it. Thought it was funny as heck. And then to finish up the night, we showed them Santa Carla's The Lost Boys, and it was awesome. I mean, my youngest was sitting there, and for the whole first half of the movie, because they don't reveal anything about vampires for a long time, he was like, oh my gosh, I think these are aliens coming in, and that's what's flying in the air and taking these people. And just watching him work out in his mind that, oh wait, why can't they see his reflection? Ooh, and like the discovery of the actual horror of it was great. I think they liked that one the best, which I think was pretty cool. Nice. Fun day. Yeah, lots of good movies.
That's interesting. So they had no idea The Lost Boys was a vampire movie prior to.
They literally never even heard of the movie, so they couldn't know anything about it. Yes.
I love it. Oh, that sounds like an incredible day. A wide range of genres and a wide range of reactions to them. I love that. That sounds like an incredible day. Well, since you talked about your Father's Day, I'll talk about mine, because I watched something that probably is anti-Father's Day. But for the first time, I watched the 1987 The Stepfather, because I've only seen the remake from 2009, which I enjoy. It came out when I was in theaters. I like it. It's fun. It's got a very young Penn Badgley and one of the two guys from Nip Tuck. I always confuse them. But I'd never seen the original, and I picked up the 4K from Scream Factory months ago. And my wife was like, all right, pick a movie tonight. You know, it's Father's Day. So I was like, let's just do The Stepfather. It feels, I don't know why, but it feels fitting. Like in an alternate universe, maybe this is, one of a path I went down. And I was blown away by the original movie. It was absolutely incredible, not just on a performance level, but on a technical level with how they were using shots and showing his complete breakdown and how the family had no idea what was going on. And then, of course, there's that moment where he's like, wait, who am I here? And everything goes to hell. But that movie was incredible. Definitely giving that one, I think, probably a 4.5 out of 5. And we'll be frequenting that movie a lot because, man, I expected I'd like it. It's an 80s movie, slasher-ish, in that vein. I figured I would like it at minimum, but I did not expect to be blown away by it. So that was something I watched. I really enjoyed that.
I'm sure you can see now why people were so disappointed by the remake. Because it's okay, but even in like the grand scheme of remakes, it kind of pales to live up to anything else from that era. But when you compare it to the original, my goodness, does it look kind of like hot garbage?
Yeah, it kind of does. I think I'm going to ultimately lower my rating on the remake because I hadn't seen it, or I hadn't seen the original. But even that opening scene, I won't spoil it necessarily, but it opens on just carnage and him acting like nothing is happening, walking out the door, whistling a tune. And I was like, that is the most cold-blooded shit I've seen in a movie in quite some time. It set the tone immediately. And I was like, okay, so this guy's crazy, which I knew from, the remake. But yeah, they really tap into plus there's a lot more violence and gore in this one. Oh my God, there's a death by 2x4, which I don't think I've ever seen in a horror movie before. Really good stuff. Outside of that, last week's Cult Movie Challenge was Lucille Fulci week, and I picked The Psychic because I had not explored a lot of his 70s work, and probably because a lot of his 70s work included comedies, spaghetti westerns, stuff like that. He only really did 2, maybe 3 horror movies. Don't Torture a Duckling from 1972. Then he would do The Psychic in 77, and then Zombie in 79, or Zombie 2, depending on who you ask. This was such a different side of Fulci than I'm used to, because typically he is known for his excessive gore. And while that is still present in flashes here, this is so much more about surrealism and not knowing if what I'm seeing on screen is like, who am I trusting on screen here? You have a clairvoyant woman who is seeing things that are happening in the future, and it all wraps around to the beginning in this beautiful, like, little bow, like on top of a present. And I was like, oh wow, this was really good. I did have to look up, an explanation a little bit to kind of help put the pieces together, because it's not that it was told like narratively bad. I just sometimes am not the greatest at picking up on the connections. And once I got it, the whole story in one line, I was like, oh shit, that was really good. So I highly recommend The Psychic. If you've never seen it, I gave that one a 4.5 out of 5. You can check out my full review on Letterboxd for that. This week's Cult Movie Challenge was Arrow Week. And since it is Kaijune, I have 2 box sets of Gamera, the Showa era and the Heisei era. So I watched the original Gamera. I think it's just Gamera the giant monster. He is my favorite kaiju. There's something about a giant turtle I just love, especially same thing goes for it and that whole thing, the space turtle, whatever his name is in that. I can't remember. But there's a space turtle in it, the novel at least. But I don't know. I love Gamera. The original was fantastic. 4 out of 5. Working on my review for that one. And then revisited the 2 previous installments of the Monsterverse, which is Godzilla from 2014 and then Kong Skull Island. I really think people need to revisit the Godzilla from 2014 because the biggest complaint that I see when I read reviews is there's not enough Godzilla, there's only 10 minutes, and I don't know if those people have seen the original, because yes, the original is shorter, but Godzilla has less screen time in the original than he does in the 2014 version. So it's almost like they were trying to tap into the original and kind of do something similar. So I really like that movie, 4 out of 5. And then Kong Skull Island. That have you seen the 2014 or Kong?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen Kong Skull Island?
I love both of those movies. Even 2014. It's really well done, and I do understand, people complaining if they've only ever seen the US Godzillas, because
Correct.
like the shitty Godzilla 2000 and all the other random Godzilla movies that have come out that have been atrocious basically. Those are all like all we have is Godzilla, so let's put him forefront in as much of the movie as we can.
Right.
Those are a different style of movie. The Godzilla from 2014 is much more akin to the original Godzilla films, and it's a great cast. I mean, Cranston is fantastic in it. Elizabeth Olsen is wonderful in it, and the diplomacy, it feels a lot more like the other modern, like Shin Godzilla in a way. It's more of like a familial side of handling those problems, but it's still great. I love that 2014, and yeah, Kong Skull Island, genuinely probably near a perfect movie for me.
Yeah, seriously, I rewatched that movie and a couple days ago, and I was like, this movie just fucking rips. You've got Samuel.
Yep.
I mean, the cast alone, Christ Almighty,
incredible. It's
incredible. And you focus on Skull Island for 90% of the movie. Fucking what's his face? Oh my God, I can't remember his name right now.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah, John C. Reilly pops out of nowhere. It's got a great balance of comedy, seriousness, and ultimate just destruction from Kong.
Yep.
I mean, the scene where, Kong realizes that there's helicopters dropping shit on the island and he goes berserk is one of the greatest monster attacks of the modern era, I would say. It's so good. 4.5 for that one. Yeah, like I said, nearly a perfect movie for me. Extremely well done. And then I went and I went and checked out 2 kind of, I'd say, off-brand kaiju movies, one being Yongari, Monster from the Deep. It's actually a South Korean kaiju film, which they haven't done many. And they've done I think 10 total is the count I got. It was a lot of fun, but I can see why it has the ratings it does. It's very derivative of Godzilla, and the only differentiation I can tell from Yongari to Godzilla is the underbite, the horn on the nose, and glowing eyes. That's really about it. Very uninteresting human plot. There's also this kid there trying to study him. It's very, very bizarre. But at the end of the day, the destruction and the miniatures and the practical effects were 5 out of 5. No complaints there. It was mostly the human aspect of that film. And then Gorgo, which was recommended to me by my good friend John Vaught, used to be on the show. Shout out to him. This was a very, very different kaiju film. It was a UK production from 1961. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's so different because it focuses on capturing one of these beasts and basically turning it into a sideshow attraction before all hell breaks loose, which is very different than what we typically see in kaiju films from that time. That one was a little bit better than Yongari, 3.5 out of 5, but I've just been consuming most of my month with exploring kaiju films because I'm realizing how big of a fan I am of giant monsters destroying miniature sets. I mean, it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What's not to love? So real quick before we move on, I think you're kind of like me where we haven't seen a lot of kaiju films, but just give me some titles that you have seen that you have liked.
I mean, my biggest ones, and I'm probably going to talk about these more and more as we get into this today, is the modern Japanese Godzilla films. So Shin Godzilla and the bigger one, Godzilla -1. Giant fan of those. Seen the original Godzilla multiple times. I've seen Gorgo once a long time ago. Not a big fan of that era. And then some of the other random kaiju that are super off-brand, so don't need to go deep down that road right now.
Gotcha.
But I mean, the big thing is there's so many there's so many offshoots of these that the people that grew up with the original Godzilla that led to things like Gamera and stuff are excited about that genre, and so many of them that set out to make something sort of an homage to what they've loved growing up just don't get it sometimes, it feels like that.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the reality is modern filmmaking sensibilities are just so different that the things that they end up being able to create are either hamstrung by studio choices or forced into a very specific direction because of modern audiences and what they're going to pay for. And that usually comes at, unfortunately, a loss of the creative and better storytelling problems that we've had in the past.
Correct. 100% agree on that. And that's kind of the big theme of this movie, because where people kind of complained about Godzilla not being in enough of the 2014 version, I feel like they said, okay, Herd, and Kong Skull Island comes along. He pops up off the mountain in 2 minutes in, and then about 28 minutes in, he's wrecking shit. So he has much more of a screen presence. And then when we get to this movie, it's like they were trying to combine Kong and Godzilla into one movie where we have a lot of good human interaction and a lot of good fighting that ultimately just feels like two separate stories happening at the same time. So with that being said, let's move on to where are we? My mouse always disappears. Austin, cut this out. There we go. The body count. There it is. Golly. All right, so we've mentioned this movie a bunch because it is what we are talking about today. This is Godzilla, King of the Monsters, not to be confused with the 1956 movie with the same name that is essentially just an Americanized version of the original 1954. Released in May 31st, 2019, PG-13, sequences of modern monster action, violence, and destruction, and for some language. No sex and nudity, moderate violence and gore, moderate profanity, no alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and moderate frightening and intense scenes, coming in at 2 hours, 12 minutes, listed as an action, adventure, fantasy, sci-fi. Directed by Michael Dougherty. He also did things like Trick or Treat and Krampus. Written by 3 separate people. We've got Max Bornstein, who did the Godzilla from 2014, Kong Skull Island, and then he would also go on to do Godzilla vs. Kong. Michael Dougherty, who I did not realize this. He wrote X-Men 2, X-Men United, so that's interesting. Trick or Treat, Krampus, and then Godzilla v. Kong, and then Zach Shields, who also wrote Krampus and Godzilla v. Kong. Composed by Bear McCreary, he composed things like Happy That Day 1 and 2, Child's Play 2019, and The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Cinematography by Lawrence Sher, who also did the cinematography for Club Dread, The Hangover... wild arc there. The Hangover 1 through 3, and Joker. So... what a career this man's had.
To be fair, those are a lot of really great looking movies.
You're not wrong. I mean, they all look great. I read those and I was like, how did we end up here? I guarantee Joker's probably what got him the job, because
100%. Yeah.
Joker's beautiful. This movie's also edited by 3 people, and it just gets crazier from here. We have Roger Barton, who also edited one of my all-time favorite movies as a kid, That Darn Cat. I don't know if you remember that movie. Yeah.
Who couldn't? Yes.
If you're a millennial in the 90s, you know that movie. He also edited Ghost Ship and World War Z. Then we've got Bob Duxay, who edited Deep Rising, The Mummy 1 and 2, and Van Helsing. And then Richard Pearson, who edited Muppets from Space, Scary Movie 2, and Men in Black 2. Just what a wild hodgepodge of people who worked on this movie. We've got Kyle Chandler as Dr. Mark Russell. He was also in, funny enough, the 2005 King Kong as Bruce Baxter. Vera Farmiga as Dr. Emma Russell. Everybody should know her from the Conjuring universe as Lorraine Warren. Millie Bobby Brown as Madison Russell. Everybody should know her from Stranger Things as Eleven. Ken Watanabe as Dr. Ishiro Serizawa. He was also in Inception as Saito. Bradley Whitford popping up in this as Dr. Rick Stanton. He was also in Cabin in the Woods as Hadley. We covered that last year, I think. And then the ever just wonderful Sally Hawkins as Dr. Vivian Graham. She was also in The Shape of Water as Elisa Esposito. And if you haven't seen that one, you might have seen Bring Her Back. She was in that as Laura. Two wildly different characters. Estimated budget of $170 million, grossing $387.3 million. Filmed in Mexico City and Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, Mexico, Atlanta, and Tunnel Hill, Georgia. You can watch this on HBO Max. This was I say this every time I feel in every episode, but what a time for movies, because holy shit. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, things that came out around the same time, by the way, Spider-Man Far From Home, Midsommar, John Wick Chapter 3, Toy Story 4, Aladdin, X-Men Dark Phoenix, Rocket Man, Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, Murder Mystery, Men in Black International, Brightburn, The Dead Don't Die, Annabelle Comes Home, The Secret Life of Pets, Ma, and Child's Play. Like, that is a pretty banging couple of months, if you ask me. Maybe not Dark Phoenix, but IMDb summary. The cryptozoology agency Monarch faces off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. Let's roll into the autopsy. All right, Ryan, first time watching this, correct?
First time watching this.
All right, hit me with your overall thoughts on Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
I regret watching this.
I am so sorry, my friend.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. So, like, I really want to finish all of the films in the Monsterverse, so I don't actually regret watching this. But, I mean, going into this, the cast, the director, so many of these things were exciting to read, exciting to see. Listen to all the names that you just listed for the pedigree, and ultimately it might just be a case of too many cooks or something, because good God, does it feel like instead of a well-oiled machine, we just got a messy, sloopy stew at the end of it that just feels gross. Like, everything is over convoluted. The visuals are over CGI'd to a point of sometimes being difficult to even make out properly what they were. Instead of the classic, we're fighting a baddie sort of situation, we go for technically what is supposed to be the second Godzilla film in this quote franchise. And it's just everybody. And it was probably a little early for their Justice League type of film. We don't need Zack Snyderification of Godzilla at this point. We could have easily gone another 3 films before we got that. Give us a Mothra film, give us a Ghidorah film, give us a Rodan film, and then put them all together so that we can all be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers together. Like, this sort of Voltron attacking Godzilla that we get sort of situation here is just complicated in a way that I don't get why we needed this at this time. And again, 2014 Godzilla, good, well made, dramatic, actually shot well. Sure, I could understand some people not being happy with the amount of Godzilla on screen. This movie kind of suffers similar things. Like, all of the other villains are on screen a lot more than Godzilla. It's a Godzilla movie. Give us Godzilla. I need more Godzilla and less Rodan. I need more Godzilla and less frozen Ghidorah. Like, come on. This is a wild choice for a script, and I mean, there's so many threads of this I can pull out right now. I don't need to pull them all, but my biggest gripe with this movie, we go from small, quaint Bryan Cranston, Elizabeth Olsen type of film, and suddenly you're thrust upon this Operation Monarch. We need to dive deep into Monarch. Every other 12th word is Monarch. What the fuck, dude? This is not some shadow organization that we just understand is awful from moment one. We don't need this underground spy bullshit what is happening? I'm sorry.
That was the best rant I think I've ever heard on the show. No point in even giving my overall thoughts because they are all encompassed in exactly everything you said. They really went from Godzilla to Kong to fucking everybody. Why? Why? What happened to doing like Godzilla versus Mothra or Godzilla versus Rodan? Personally, my favorite kaiju in this movie is Rodan. I fucking love Rodan.
Great design. Looks good.
Great design, looks good, comes bursting out of a volcano and flies over Mexico, and just his presence of flying just demolishes the city.
Pretty intimidating.
I love Rodan. My favorite, I would say, of the Godzilla verse, if you want to call it, that I've seen. Just one of my favorites. He's so underutilized. But yeah, man... It's so underwhelming, but at times it's literally, it kept pulling me out and then pulling me back in, then pulling me, like every single time they would switch from the monster action we all want to see to the family drama or whatever was happening with Monarch. I was like, these feel like two separate stories that are happening tangentially that could have really been maybe two different movies because they're squeezing so much in to 2 hours and 12 minutes. And let's be honest, like 10 minutes of that is credits. So really it's 2 hours that they're squeezing all of this stuff into. And I think the biggest problem with the movie, and real quick before we dive into the movie, this is, like I said, this is part of the MonsterVerse era. This is separate from the Reiwa era and the Japanese era that's going on, because that's 2016 starting with Shin Godzilla to the present, and MonsterVerse is 2014 to the present with Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, or what is it, Supernova, coming out later this year or something like that. So this is this is the MonsterVerse era, the Americanized version. But something I like this movie did, before we get into all of the BS, is actually not even this movie. It's the movies that came before it that kind of set this movie up. Because if you watch Kong Skull Island, the end credits reveal that Kong is not the only giant monster on Earth.
Right.
Big shock. Main characters, because that's actually a prequel, because it's set in 1973. So that's a prequel to what would happen in Godzilla 2014. So they set up Monarch, and they set up all of this stuff, and they bring the people, there was like 2 survivors or 3 survivors from the events of Kong. They bring them into this room, introduce themselves as Monarch, like we are part of Monarch, and show them all these drawings of Toho monsters, Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah on like hieroglyphics, I guess you could describe it as. And then at the end, you hear Godzilla's roar, indicating, okay, we're probably going to see this. This is going to be in the next movie. And that's kind of how they set up the future MonsterVerse from Kong Skull Island. And the setup for this movie that we're talking about today is, it just felt shoehorned in, because none of these characters outside of Dr. Graham and Dr. Serizawa are in the 2014 version. So you introduce Millie Bobby Brown, you introduce Vera Farmiga, you introduce Kyle Chandler in the opening setup of this movie and the aftermath of Godzilla of 2014 and what's going on. And then you cut to 5 years later. Okay, sure. So these are the characters we're following around. And the Russell family is really the heart of the movie. I say that begrudgingly because it's not a great family dynamic. No. Because Mark responds to the situation that happened with Godzilla with anger. Emma responds with obsession. Madison is somehow hopeful about this situation. And the rest of the film is about all 3 of those perspectives constantly colliding and bashing with each other. Because no one in this family can fucking be on the same page. And that, I think, is this movie's biggest downfall. Is a family that we're supposed to love and connect with who are not connected themselves. I don't know. Is that just me?
No, well stated. I mean, not only that, like, you're supposed to feel empathetic for this family, that there's not really any situation here that calls for empathy. They're all kind of not likable characters. And I've had this conversation on my show probably too many times. People are probably over me talking about this, but we are in a situation, especially for like modern American audiences, that they desire likable protagonists or likable antagonists. They want to be able to side with somebody, and in this movie, you're more so drawn to essentially empathize with the monsters, which, cool. Like a lot of the old kaiju films, they were designed that way. Nothing against that. However, that also means I don't give two shits about any of the human characters in this film. They're all bad people. And if that's the case, I don't care if they die. There's no stakes here. There's no anything. It's just show me cool fights. And the fights here are decent, so they draw me back in. But you spend so much time dithering away in the trenches for these awful family stories. I don't really care if you unite this father and his daughter. Who gives a crap? They're both terrible people.
All of them are, because Mark is constantly angry about the whole situation. And I get it. As a dad, I would also be angry. Or I guess I'd probably be more sad and not so lashing out like Mark is, because he's just angry at the Titans. There's no deeper meaning to what happened. His son died, and he's just angry. I'm angry. Emma is the complete opposite. She, instead of blaming the Titans, as they're referred to in this movie, which is the first time they're referred to as Titans, she blames humanity. So you've got one person blaming the monsters, one person blaming humanity, and then you've got Madison, who is just caught in the middle of all this, who doesn't embrace either one of their worldviews. But she maintains a relationship with both parents, hoping that somehow all of this can be repaired. Like, she gets her father's pain, but she still admires that her mom is a very intelligent, dedicated scientist who has not given up on trying to fix the world that is in ruin, or whatever you want to call it. But I think the biggest issue I have with Emma, because like Mark, she is supposed to be likable, except when she gets kidnapped, quote unquote, she's not kidnapped. She willingly aligns herself with the eco-terrorist Alan Jonah and intends to use the Orca device, which is capable of communicating with the Titans, to awaken the dormant creatures across the globe. Why am I supposed to be caring about this person who has very bizarre motives working with literal terrorists? It's not a good setup for me to want to enjoy Vera Farmiga, and a movie that makes me not like her makes me very unhappy, because I love her in literally everything else that she has ever been in. So it's like, right. Don't make me dislike Vera Farmiga. Come on, man. And the Orca device itself, too, is, it hurts my brain. They never explain how it was made. Like, they don't discover, or they don't tell us how they discovered these frequencies, or how the device translates communication to these Titans. Like, none of that. We're just supposed to roll with it. And I can't really roll with it in this situation when there's clearly an explanation that we need to understand how this device is working. They don't give us the how or the why. They just give us the what. And I'm like, this is great and all. And I had to double check myself. I Googled. I was like, was the Orca ever explained? No, it's really not explained. It's just kind of, we have this technology. I think Mark has a throwaway line because he used to work with Emma at Monarch, but then he left. I think he has a throwaway line where, I was working on this at one point, and I guess she finished it. And you're like, there's our explanation. Great.
Explanation. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Sorry. No.
Explanation-wise, like, I don't think people understand when people are talking about this. Austin and I are not looking for an exposition dump, because there are so many films, especially in horror nowadays, that we have to explain everything in a long monologue, and if it's not clearly stated, the audiences won't get it. That's not what we're looking for here necessarily. Something that you have to do, though, is make this story either make sense or be intriguing in a way that is logical. Because right now, the way the plot is literally, like I said earlier, just a murky soup. It's just like coating let me keep going down the path of this soup metaphor. It's coating your eyes with this like jello-y fat that is not the story that you actually need. And so everything just feels greasy and unappetizing. And because of that, you're left feeling unsatisfied but full. At the end of the movie, you're like, well, this was gross, but I'm like overstimulated by it and I'm not happy. And if you had just taken the minute to render out the fat and properly bring out seasoning and flavor, you would have made the point to have us either like care about characters, have understanding about even choose one of the main storylines and make that the storyline.
Right.
You could have actually developed certain things. If you want this to be about Monarch, cool, that's fine. Make a movie about Monarch where there's one villain, villain being the actual creature, which is what it's supposed to be. We get one villain, explain Monarch, establish that, and then in the next movie, it can be a subplot because we know what Monarch is, and then you can have a human subplot or main plot that is the actual story, and Monarch can affect them. And then that all leads into a Titans movie down the line, and you can bring Zack Snyder in and make it terrible if that's what you really want to do. But you had to do it super early and ruin fucking Michael Dougherty for the rest of us. He gave us Trick or Treat. Make good movies.
Oh, he gave us Trick or Treat. He gave us Krampus. He gave us so many things. And when he was tied to this movie, I said, absolutely. There's no way. But, you know, studio interference, I'm sure, was a huge factor in what ultimately made this movie fail. They tried to put too many working pieces in here, tried to put too much story, not enough fighting. When they did fight, the camera would cut away to human reactions or whatever the fuck was happening with the family drama. My biggest example of this is when Ghidorah and Kong go to fight for the second time in the city. As soon as they make connection, cuts to the fucking flying giant stealth bomber, and we get little clips of them fighting from inside, and I'm like, why did we cut away? What was what was the purpose of that? They just made a connection. And while we do get some incredible imagery, I'll speak to Rodan flying out of the volcano, Ghidorah being backlit with the three heads in the storm, Godzilla just charging up and blasting a beam. Like, I mean, we get some good imagery, but it is so overshadowed by an undersaturated color grading that is at times hard to see. I don't have as much of a deal with it as some people do. I feel like it was... You can see it enough, but they're constantly using smoke. They're constantly using rain, which I get it because it kind of makes the effects look better because you can kind of hide them and stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, look at Godzilla 2014. They did not do that there, and that movie looked incredible. So That's where I'm at with that. So instead of this Orca device functioning as a plot beat, it's just a piece of science that exists in this world. We have this because Monarch scientists are really smart. Moving on. So yeah, that genuinely irritated me that we did not get an explanation of that at all. And Emma's plan is, she believes she's saving the world. She, in her mind, humanity's unchecked growth has poisoned the planet, and the Titans represent nature's way of bringing balance back to the world. Their destruction they will cause is terrible, but she views it as a necessary sacrifice. Fucking, I can't be on your side when you want to unleash these things to restore the balance of the world that is in ruin, but was the world really in ruin because you unleashed all of these things and then all of them started attacking each other? So how are they restoring balance when nothing was happening before they were unleashed? I think that's my biggest problem is she wants to bring balance back to the world, but it's been 5 years. Everything seems to be pretty peachy keen to me. And then you unwittingly release Ghidorah, which is, literally his name is King Ghidorah. All of the other monsters outside of Godzilla bow to him at one point because he's the king. So you unleash Monster Zero and then everything kind of goes to shit. So it's just her motivations are very, very frustrating. I can't be on her side, and I can't be on Mark's side either, just because he is so angry most of the movie. I'll say he probably, air quotes, has the best character arc because by the end he can finally let go. But when you take so long to get to that arc, it's it's useless. It has no impact for me. I'm glad you were able to let it go, but could we maybe have tried to work on letting it go an hour ago, like in the movie? Good for you, bro. But it's just like Emma and Mark are so just absolutely unlikable characters, which sucks because I love Mark Chandler. I love Vera Farmiga. And again, Madison's just in the middle. And let me just get this out of the way because I'm going on too long. I hate the fact that Millie Bobby Brown is in this movie. She is literally there because she was famous at the time. They were trying to, I'm assuming they used her to attract a younger audience, which 100%. Which is not a problem. Please expose younger generations to monster movies. But she just felt so forced being in there. I'm okay with wanting to bring a younger audience into the movies, but let's just do it a different way. She was solely there because of the popularity of Stranger Things and Brant. But yeah.
Not only that, it's not where she is there to get people to watch the movie and she's barely in it. She is way too much of this movie. She is overpowering in scenes that she has no reason to have that big of an effect on. She makes asinine decisions that nobody in their right mind would ever logically make, which means she harms the direction of the film, and it entirely takes me out of it. She should not have been, this big of a part of it. Sure, there's been monster movies and quote horror movies that are semi like this, where somebody famous comes in there and they play a part, whatever they attract a different audience. Fine. You could have easily had her like abducted or put in a dangerous situation and off screen for 40 minutes and we come back to rescue her or something like that. That's fine. Make her the reason that we're going somewhere. But no, instead, she ruins dialogue. She steps into situation and makes parents make just the dumbest decisions in the guise of helping her. She makes bad decisions. She affects storylines in ways that make zero sense. This movie is not good. This movie is so just poorly overwrought. Again, soup fat in my eyes. Why?
Soup fat in my eyes. That's the tagline for this movie. Yeah, so, and touching on Madison here, I think she's the biggest missed opportunity of this film, because you're right, the movie positions her as this emotional bridge between her parents, but she does not get enough screen time to fully own that role, because she, God, I wish I should have looked this up to see how much screen time she had, but she doesn't. She does not have enough screen time, and you're right, she makes one decision, which is arguably, I guess, her defining moment, if you want to call it that, and maybe the most courageous, but also the dumbest, when she puts herself directly in Ghidorah's path to throw the Orca device and distract him. Sure, right. That's heroic, but it's also the dumbest thing you could ever do. Have you seen Ghidorah? He's fucking huge. He has 3 heads that will shoot laser beams at you. And I'm not gonna lie, I really wish he would have just demolished her. It was just, that would have made this movie, honestly, so great. It's like all the ingredients for her character are there, but they are not explored enough. She feels so disconnected from the entire movie because she can't pick a side. So she picks her own side, essentially, and does the whole thing with Ghidorah. It's just, it is a frustrating human aspect to a kaiju movie, because there is, what I'm learning now, especially going even and back watching the older movies, is you have to strike a balance with the monsters and with humanity. If one of those doesn't work, the movie as a whole really isn't going to work that well. And it's a very interesting thing that I didn't, I've seen a monster movie here or there, but as I've been watching them more and more, you really have to get that combination right in order to pull off a successful kaiju film. And this is an example of a movie that does not pull that off because of the unlikable characters and 16 fucking monsters. I mean, look at Destroy All Monsters. I think it's Gamera versus Guiron. Destroy All Monsters. There's like 17 kaiju in that movie, and you're like, there's just too many kaiju. What's happening? Yep. It's the same thing here, because we really needed that lead up. I will petition. It's never going to happen because of, the hatred towards this movie. But I am going to petition till the day I die for a standalone Rodan film, please, or even Ghidorah. I mean, I know he's the bigger one, or bring back some of the classics like Hedorah or Destroya. Let's see some of those come back. Let's see some 1v1 Godzilla versus this this monster. Let's bring those back. But
I'd love a proper modern Mothra film. You could do so many interesting visual aspects with Mothra.
Yeah, not only because Mothra is just a gorgeous creature, but she is one of the rare kaiju that serves as a protector of Earth. Right. And she also, in, what was the movie? I think it was Godzilla versus Space Godzilla that we did this month. She also has these two fairies that accompany her that speak on her behalf to humanity. There's so much you could do with that. I would love a standalone Mothra film where she's fighting off, even if it's just the Mutos. Like, I really enjoyed the Mutos from Godzilla 2014. They were a new type of kaiju. That is what Godzilla was battling. They looked cool. The sounds they made, I was listening to it on my surround sound. I was like, holy shit, the sound design is great. Let's get something like that, because they just ramped this up so quickly. And I get it. It's probably because of the success of the first two movies. Even though the 2014 wasn't well received, it still made a lot of money. Kong made a lot of money. And then this made a lot of money, almost, double its budget, but the reception of it was extremely poor. And then, so what was that, 2019? And then we get Godzilla Minus Zero in 2023. And I know we're getting Supernova because apparently the fans really like Godzilla vs. Kong. I did not expect a trilogy from Godzilla vs. Kong, although technically 2 and 3 are Godzilla and Kong, so I guess they're teaming up. I haven't seen the sequel yet. But I don't know where they're going to go with this Monsterverse, but I really just bring it back to the basics. Seriously, we don't need to overcomplicate things. Bring it back to two monsters fighting, and let it be that, and give us a compelling humanity aspect. It's not impossible. It's hard, but it's not impossible.
Because I had not seen this one, I've still not seen Godzilla vs. Kong. I just can't imagine, after how overwrought this film was, I don't understand how people saw marketing where we have King Kong wearing an Infinity Gauntlet, and they went, let's go to the movies. And what are we fucking doing at this point? I don't mean to overhate this or anything, but the things from this IP that have been successful over the years, how do you see those and think the things we need are Millie Bobby Brown and an Infinity Gauntlet? Yeah, I am so confused.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think it was really just right place, right time for Millie Bobby Brown getting that role, because Stranger Things was 2016, so by 2019 they were probably in like season 2, because it takes them 8 years between seasons.
That math checks out. Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, and honestly, Godzilla vs. Kong, now I have to rewatch it because I'm watching the Monsterverse in chronological order, so that one is up next. But I remember thoroughly enjoying that one much more than I did this one. It's
interesting.
Listen, I don't think anything in the Monsterverse will top Kong Skull Island, but prove me wrong, Hollywood. Prove me wrong.
I'm open to it.
I'm open to it. Like, give me something, because clearly the fans like it, because like I said, there wouldn't be a trilogy of this Godzilla Kong thing if the fans did not enjoy it. If the first one bombed and it was poorly received, they wouldn't have done a second one. Also, Adam Wingard, if that helps, directs all 3 of them. So I'll put that out there. Another horror director directing a kaiju film. Hopefully, I don't know if that works or if that holds you back, because, Michael Dougherty was also a horror director, but Adam Wingard is involved in these 3 movies. So maybe that'll change your mind just a little bit. I don't know.
I think the bigger hope is let's bring back a good writer again. For those that don't remember, on Kong Skull Island, Dan Gilroy is the head writer on that. And Gilroy has gone on to do so many bigger things, obviously. And the titles that he's wrote have been tight and well thought out, and not even just like planned, but everything is happening for a reason. And there's, even if you're not explicitly explained something in the actual script, it's logical. It makes sense. It is something that, I can see why a character would make that decision. Okay. We go to King of the Monsters, and dude, almost every decision is like, has the writers of this, like, have they met people? Do they know? life? Do they know, like, trying to survive situations? Do they understand making decisions for humanity that make sense? Because I don't know that they've ever met a person.
Yeah, for a first day as a human, I guess. Well, and it's interesting, too, because the main writer, Max Bornstein, wrote the 2014 Godzilla and Kong Skull Island, and then would go on to do Godzilla vs. Kong. So it's like, what happened here that... And I don't know, studio interference, just too much. Yeah. I mean, too much happening that the writers just ultimately did not know how to make this more cohesive. There's a lot of elements that could have gone into this and why we got the product that we did. But I do find it strange that, you know, the main writer was involved in 2 of these and then somehow just, you know, kind of shit the bed with this one. Obviously, I'm not blaming Max Bornstein. The writer that you mentioned, what else has he done? Because the name sounds familiar, but I can't place. So
the big thing that everybody knows Dan Gilroy for is he wrote Nightcrawler, but lately he's one of the main writers of Andor. He and his brother are the team behind Andor. He also wrote Velvet Buzzsaw, Roman J. Israel Esquire, The Bourne Legacy. I think he did the screenplay for that one. He's done the Gilroys have done all kinds of great stuff. He co-directs stuff with his brother too. Like he directed Velvet Buzzsaw, he directed Nightcrawler. He's great at what he does, but the big thing is it's his creative stamp on it that makes it make sense. Like there's no way. I mean, I'm probably giving too much credit to Michael Dougherty here, but we've seen what he can do in the past, and this is probably one of those situations where, and we might have talked about this slightly last time I was here for Let the Right One In, where budgets kind of change people. Mm-hmm. With Michael Dougherty, I feel like if you had obviously this movie could not have been made on this budget, not saying it could have, but if you had sliced this budget in half at least, that limiting factor would have kept him in a very specific sandbox, per se. Yep. It would have forced him to make decisions that would have kept everything contained in a way that doesn't just bloat like soup on my eyeballs. And that is where the bloat comes in and makes everything just feel greasy. And it doesn't... It works for certain things, and yes, it may have sold tickets, but at what cost? Like at one point, this IP is going to feel like watered down soup on people's eyeballs if we just keep expanding how much fat you allow them to put into a script. And if you want to cut that out, cut down their budget. Maybe it doesn't go 2 hours, 12. Sure, it's very long for what it is, but in all reality, following 2014's Godzilla, we didn't need a 2-hour Godzilla movie. This easily could have been a 90-minute story that was tighter and made more sense and introduced Monarch or introduced this family that you want us to care about because you're going to bring Millie Bobby Brown back in the Infinity Gauntlet movie. This film reminds me of the first round of the MCU and how they got to that soupy Avengers place. That first round of leading up to that first Avengers movie, every movie had its place. Every movie had a sliver of the first pie to tell a story for, and it led to an entire meal of the Avengers film. I feel like at this point, we had... like a glass of water at the table with 2014 Godzilla, and then you gave us dessert. And we don't need dessert at that point. We need a steak. We need something to prepare and have an actual hearty meal. And if you had been able to tell some more of those stories, this over-saccharine sweetness of just eye candy that they think they're giving us, that would have made a much better coda instead of a prelude. And instead... it's just a soupy mess of my eyeballs, and it sucks. It's not fun.
Oh, soupy mess of my eyeballs. That's the running theme here. I love that description. It's giving me a lot of funny imagery in my head. But you're 100% right, because, like we said, there's too much going on. You have Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, Monarch politics, Alan Jonah's eco-terrorist, the Orca device, the Oxygen Destroyer, fucking Hollow Earth confirmation, multiple tightening awakenings, global environmental themes, the Russell family drama, blah, 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 blah. That's so much shit for a movie. I mean, all of the things I mentioned could be separate fucking movies. I mean, seriously.
Literally.
I mean, the one thing that I did like about this is that they talk about Hollow Earth in Kong Skull Island and how, you know, the Hollow Earth theory, and then it is confirmed in this movie. And I like the continuity that they use because it is for the most part, it's got some good continuity outside of just interjecting the Russell family into Godzilla versus.
It's intriguing, yeah.
Yeah, because, they tease things in one movie, they confirm things in other movies, but then they just introduce things like the orca that they're just like, bah, accept it. Science people did science things, blah, blah, blah. So none of these, like literally any of these ideas could carry significant screen time. Instead, it's like you're juggling, like 3 balls, and then someone's like, throw a 4th one in. Okay, and 5 and 6. All right, this is too many. I can't juggle 7 things at once.
Well, even worse, sort of a better analogy, I think, is that it's like somebody's juggling 3 balls and you go, that's impressive. I couldn't do that. And then they say, okay, throw me 12 more. It's not 3, 4, 5. It's 3, then 12. And that doesn't make any sense. Nobody, even the best of jugglers goes, oh shit.
I can't do this. I only have 2 hands. So it's just the movie creates this strange contradiction with itself because it clearly wants you to like the Russell family. They're this emotional heart of the story. But like you mentioned earlier, we spend far more energy caring for Godzilla than we do the Russells, especially during the scene where Serizawa, Godzilla is down for the count, essentially. And Serizawa is like, okay, we need a nuke to wake him back up. Cool. And this felt very on par with his character from the original. I don't think it's supposed to be the same person. I think it's just, a modern version of Serizawa. But in the original, Serizawa wanted to study him. He did not want to destroy him. He wanted to keep him around and somehow figure out how this thing worked. So him ultimately sacrificing himself to reawaken Godzilla was kind of a based move. Like, all right, cool. Right. But on the same side of that, having a Japanese person set off a nuke to save Godzilla feels so fucking insensitive, given the fact that Japan is the only place on Earth that has been bombed with nuclear weapons twice. So you're doing this cool thing by having this emotional connection. I mean, I felt more emotion in the scene where Serizawa reached out and touched Godzilla than I did with any of the Russell family. But it also has this weird message like nukes are good, like radiation is fun. So it's got this weird message in this moment that's supposed to be wholesome, which it is, but it's I don't know. Do you feel the same way about that?
Oh boy, I feel lots of things. So yes, not only is it tasteless, one minor correction to also point out that the Americans also bombed the shit out of their own people to test nukes, and that has led to a lot of problems. And
correct.
We can get into like the Marshall Islands, lots of other things surrounding this. Anyways, Americans suck, yes, and not only because they have nuked many people throughout history, because they ruined the Godzilla IP, and this is an example of that. Speaking of tasteless things to say, that was obviously inflammatory for a reason. But yes, this was a bad decision to make here. And I mean, so much of this, like, just to juxtapose what they do with him, with Kyle Chandler, I don't know, it's like 14 minutes after the start of the film, and you have this super dramatic moment of them, lowering the shields or whatever. And you focus on Kyle Chandler and he goes, lower the shields. And it's supposed to be this big moment, and it's like, okay, you see him as he's dormant, like you understand what's going on. Why is this big dramatic lead up when it's very obvious what is happening here and everybody doesn't trust it? Again, just poor writing. Like, let's make better choices and focus on actual humanity, and we might give a flying crap about it. Again, those aren't entirely related. This is just awful. I hate this worse than I did the other day when I watched it now.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I really love about the podcast, because there are some times where I'm unsure about a movie and talking it through makes me appreciate it and understand it. Unfortunately, this is the opposite case for this movie. It is making me appreciate it less and less. And I know this entire episode is probably coming off extremely negative, but we are pointing out real issues with the movie. It's not like we're sitting here saying like, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. I'm presenting my issues with the movie and how it's too convoluted, which is a pretty general consensus on this one, because we're all here for the monsters fighting, but we're somehow sucked back into this, all of this drama and just too much happening between Mark not letting go, Emma with the weirdest motives in existence, and then Madison just bippity-boppity booing between both of them. It's just a very, very strange movie. Where did I have so many notes. I'm trying to find the spot that fit into what I was saying. Of course,
that's funny. They looked at the script and thought the same thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Where are we in this? Where are we in this script?
I don't know that it matters. Let's just start on page 26.
All right, let's just start here. Because you were talking about the monsters and stuff like that. So I was going to transition into things that I did enjoy, because ultimately, yes, I don't think this is a great movie. It's not a good movie. But what things to note here, right? The reveal of Mothra comes at 6 minutes, 57 seconds. Great reveal. Except everybody starts attacking it for whatever reason, and they have to go out there and use the Orca device, and then she, just like fucks off into the waterfall. Great reveal. You get a monster 6 minutes in. You get Godzilla, and this is such a great shot, in my opinion, when they're in the submersible that they have, whatever the hell it is, and they can track Godzilla. This is another thing, too, that they don't explain. They have this device that can track Godzilla based on radiation, sure, but they are also able to monitor his heartbeat, his heart rate, all that stuff. Again, not explained. It's science magic. But you see him swimming in the water with his blue, what are they called? The fucking things on his back, the
spine.
Scales, there we go.
Scales,
and he's just kind of swimming through the water towards them. He's like, hey, lower the shields to let him know we're not a threat. That was great. 39 minutes in, we get Ghidorah. 42 minutes, we get Godzilla walking on the beach, or walking on the beach of Antarctica, or whatever you want to call it, with the revamped theme song. That was killer.
Great score, yeah.
Great score, great, it was a little bit reimagined, and I really like that they kept true to Godzilla's original roar, just modified it all, slightly here and there, and then we get Ghidorah fighting Godzilla, 43 minutes. We see the first atomic breath at 44 minutes, Rodan at 55 minutes, and then Rodan fighting Ghidorah at an hour. So within the first hour, all monsters are revealed. Some of them have fought. And another one of the scenes I truly, truly love is when Rodan is on the tail of that stealth bomber, and they are heading towards Monster Zero, because they're like, what the fuck do? We've got to pit them against each other. And you can see Ghidorah flying behind them. He's reaching out with his claws to grab this stealth bomber, and all of a sudden he pulls his claws back, and you see Ghidorah lit up by this lightning in the clouds, and then they go to fight. I loved that scene. I thought that was fantastic. So there's a lot of good parts in here, but it's like a chunk here, and then like 30 minutes later, a chunk there. One little shot of imagery that's really cool here. Oh man, Ghidorah just fucked up an entire city in Mexico with his wings. Cool. So it's like there are very, very good shots in this movie, but ultimately it's just watered down soup at this point. You put too many ice cubes in it to cool it down, and now it tastes like shit. I don't like this. It's not the greatest installment. I only hope things will get better. I don't know what the plans are for this fucking franchise outside of Supernova, which is I think it's this year or next year that's coming out. But Hollywood, I know you're listening. Let's just do basics. Let's go back to basics. Give us a Mothra, give us a Rodan, give us a Ghidorah, give us something.
And shit, give us a standalone Mothra movie. We don't even need Godzilla in it. Give us a standalone story to make us, if you want us to be empathetic towards the monsters, that's fine. We actually enjoy that. But give modern audiences a taste of Mothra before you make the soup. Like, at least allow us to understand what Mothra can do, where they're from, why they're here. And you don't have to do that with overwrought exposition either. Just give us its own story. Give us some time with Mothra.
Because I would say, honestly, Mothra has the best... What am I trying to say here? I would say she has the most story and depth to her to do a full-length movie that would be very interesting, because there are a lot of elements to her. She has a larvae stage. She has an imago stage, I think. She's got two different forms that she goes from and turns into, and she's also got those fairies. I mean, there's so much with Mothra that they could do an entire movie on just her fighting Mutos, or setting this back before Kong Skull Island. Who the fuck knows? They could do so much with Mothra, and I really feel they need to bring it back to basics. Just do one monster, especially one that is the protector of Earth. Godzilla at this point has, fully transitioned into protecting Earth as well. He is fighting off all of these creatures who are wanting to destroy Earth, but I like that Mothra is really only the other one, even like outside of Gamera or whatever, but that's a completely different, that's not Toho, that's not the Monsterverse, that's Dai Films. I can't pronounce it. But yeah, give us a Mothra film. I think that would be the next great movie that someone could do. And you're right, give them a budget just a little bit less, because when you have to work with less, you can ultimately somehow weirdly do more because you have this confined space. When Michael Dougherty's like, $170 million. Well, I'll just take a bath on all of this money. I mean, come on. So if you give them a little bit smaller of a budget, I feel like it ultimately would be a better product. And I have so much more I could say about this. I really do. But I don't want to just keep shitting on this movie. Was there any element of this movie that legitimately worked for you? Any scenes that worked for you, or was it kind of okay? Well, why don't we talk about those and end on a good note?
I mean, a lot of the visuals can be decent. We talked about some of them earlier. The volcano scene, kind of incredible. The way that they show people like literally bursting into flames, or people running away with the lava falling around them and all that shit. Like, that was really well done. It's a scene that is terrifying in multiple ways. A couple of the scenes where, like you mentioned earlier, they are clearly hiding CGI and the need to design things into a much sharper image with smoke and fog and with rain. I actually kind of appreciated that in this film. They do a lot of things to make them intimidating. That being said, it only works if you do have clear scenes later that make a little more sense and can see a little more of that detail. So we can't obscure it the entire film. But they did decent with some of those visuals. I will say the color grading in this film kind of leaves a lot to be desired, but I almost feel like that might just be this entire franchise, like a overall look they're going for, because even like Kong Skull Island is colorful, but in a very different way, and a sort of it's got an expanded color palette, but it still feels drained of contrast. And in a way that I don't know, it's an odd choice, but like 2014 Godzilla was very classic, like orange and cyan, like a lot of unnecessary action movies from around that time. It was very just leaning heavily in that palette, and I never loved that. So some odd choices there, but overall, like, they know how to choreograph fight scenes. There are some great looking fight scenes here. They do well with a lot of those, but unfortunately, many of the visuals just don't work for me.
Yeah, I loved when Mothra just shoots her little like webs or whatever at Ghidorah and pins him. And that was great. I was like, hell yeah. So ultimately, not the greatest. There are definitely stronger Monsterverse movies, and I will be diving into the other sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong probably later today, because I'm in the kaiju mood, but this one is gonna probably fall short on the list. And we were off to such a great start this month with the original Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. The atrocity on my eyes that was Monster Seafood Wars. This one, but hopefully we'll come back around with our our wild card pick, which has a terrible rating, but I feel like it's going to be amazing, which is Gamera versus Varas from the Showa era.
Nice.
So, yes, with all that being said, let us move on to the final cut. Wrong one. There we go. I do that every time. So, too many goddamn taglines. Let them fight. Long live the king. Their reign begins. One king to rule them all. Prepare to throw down. Only one will rule. God help us all and prepare for battle.
In a movie with too many plot lines and characters, there's too many taglines? Yeah. I'm shocked.
What? Yeah, Brad on par, honestly. A couple things of trivia here. A skeleton can be seen outside of Godzilla's underwater temple. This skeleton bears a body shape resembling Anguirus, a dinosaur who served as Godzilla's ally. In a few films, the filmmakers have confirmed that it is in fact that monster. Maybe we'll get him down the road. Mothra's eye spots on her wings were designed to resemble Godzilla's eyes in order to create a connection between the two monsters. Michael Dougherty said she is his flag bearer and queen. Not a surprise, as they have worked together before. One of the Titans, Leviathan, is in Loch Ness, implying that it's the origin of the Loch Ness monster legend. Toho actually nearly made a kaiju film starring Nessie in 1978 in co-production with Hammer Horror, and got far enough into production for posters to be made, and I'm so sad that does not exist. We do not have, to my knowledge, a Loch Ness monster movie. I don't think.
No.
Cranial scans indicate each of Ghidorah's head possess different levels of cognitive function, and possible independent thought, the middle head being the most intelligent, acting as the alpha, while the left and right are more akin to its lackeys. And Mothra's screech in the film is a modified version of the original sound from the Toho series. Goofs got some good shit here. Submarines don't use GPS for deep water navigation. They use sonar. It was stated that Washington, D.C. was being hit by a Category 6 hurricane. Nope, only goes to Category 5, so that's incorrect. I know that because I'm from Florida. When attacking Ghidorah, there is absolutely no reason for the attacking aircraft to fly so close to the monster as they're batted out of the air. And this one's too long, I'm not going to read it. Rated 6.0 out of 10 on IMDb. For our purposes of the Nightmare Index, that is a 3.0 out of 5. It has a 2.9 out of 5 on the Letterboxd, 42% on the tomato meter, shockingly an 83% audience score. I don't understand this movie. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. What would you give this movie on a scale of 1 to 5, Ryan?
Yeah, I've been sort of oscillating on this one, somewhere between a 1.5 and a 2. Okay. So if super decimals are allowed, I'll say 1.75, because that feels about right for me.
All right, we'll just round that to a 2 for purposes here. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna switch it up. We're gonna do a 1.75. Why the fuck not? 1.75. I'm gonna give it a 2.5, which is very, very generous. I know. So that gives us a Nightmare Index of a 2.53, which is just above Monster Sea. Actually, no, it's quite above Monster Seafood Wars. Let's be honest. That one is a 1.9 out of 5. Nothing is going to beat that. So I believe this is about second or third from the bottom. That's what it is. You know, unfortunately, maybe I'll start doing better kaiju movies. I gotta
be honest. I think I'd rather watch Monster Seafood Wars than this one ever again.
Have you ever seen Monster Seafood Wars?
I've seen a couple clips from it. Yeah.
Whew. Okay, you watch that and report back to me.
Well, at least that is not trying to be what this is.
That's true. That is actually
I think at what they are setting out to accomplish, this movie likely fails much more than Monster Seafood Wars.
You are correct in that. Similar movies according to IMDb: Godzilla v. Kong, Godzilla 2014, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, Kong Skull Island, and King Kong 2005. Similar movies according to Letterboxd, we have Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, Pacific Rim, Kong Skull Island, Pacific Rim Uprising, and Godzilla 1998. As per usual on the show, I did not remind you to get funny reviews, so if you didn't, no worries. I have a few I can read.
I entirely forgot, so I apologize.
No, it's always my fault. I never remind people. So let me read off my few here real quick and get you out of here, because I know you are on a time limit. Let me mute my Alexa device, because one of these involves her name. 3 stars from Adrian. Alexa, play Katy Perry's Roar. Let's see here. I don't remember this part of the movie, so correct me. Let me know if this was in there. But 1 star from KYK. When Sally Hawkins mimes the mechanics of Godzilla's dick. Damn, that shit was wild. I don't remember if she did that, but apparently she did. 3 stars from Mike Ginn, or Jin. This is the most divorced guy movie of all time. And I agree. And for this one, I'm going to do something very special. So what I'm going to do is insert a clip from a movie, because it's a quote from a movie. I'll do my best impression for you. But it's 1 star from Yai John, and it's...
Look how they massacred my boy.
That was horrible. That was a horrible, horrible Godfather impression. I'm going to leave that to Marlon Brando to do. And last, but certainly not least... No stars, but a heart. Spoiler alert, Sally Hawkins does not, in fact, fuck Godzilla. She does in the shape of water, though. All right.
Yeah, not that type of a monster movie.
Not that type. No. All right, Ryan, where can everyone find you and the variety of things that you do on social media?
Sure. If you are into physical media, you can check out that part of my life under the Disconnected on all social media. If you would like to dive deep into a monthly magazine, you can check us out at the Physical Media Advocate and any social media there. But if you want to go deep into a film distributor that is really trying to curate a special collection of films for everybody, check out Antenna Releasing, a brand new distribution company that I started in January of this year. We're taking our second film to theaters the week we are recording this, called Corner to the Stars. It might be playing in a theater near you. Check it out, and we've got many more coming later this year, many that fit the tone and style of this show, so we might be talking about those eventually, too.
I know you told me that you had 2 early 90s slasher movies that hadn't gotten a release before, or something like that last time we talked?
Not 90s, early 2010s.
Oh, 2010s,
and,
okay.
There's a lot of horror movies that we have that have never had a physical release that are coming eventually. But on top of that, we've got other stuff coming to theaters that are either new or rep screenings from stuff that have literally never been released, and just can't wait to share them with the world. We got a lot to talk about. In fact, I got some people that want to come on your show, so we should plan some of those.
Okay, Ryan out here just doing the Lord's work in every way possible. This man does it all. And we appreciate this man. So if you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. If you are going to rate me lower than a 5-star, tell me why. I need to know. Leave me
or just don't rate it. Come on.
Yeah, or just don't rate it.
Let's be honest.
Like, tell me why. I need to know why. I'm never going to let that go. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Slasher, Threads, and YouTube at Frightmares Podcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. If you want to check me out on Letterboxd, I am Dr. Proctor, all one word. Ryan, you're on Letterboxd.
I am under the Disconnected.
Perfect. If you'd like to expand your movie podcast listening, be sure to check out the Shameless Picture Show, the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club, and One Week Rental as well as the vast library of Someone's Favorite Productions, our generous host here. They have literally a podcast for everyone and 2 podcasts specifically on commentaries, so go check them out. Next week, wrapping up Kaiju Month. It's been a month. My buddy... Is Michael doing that one with me? Yeah, I guess he is. I thought it was Corey. Anyways, next week, Michael and I will be doing Gamera or Gamera, I never know how to say it, versus Varas from 1968 as our wild card pick. It is streaming on Prime, Tubi, Screambox, and Pluto. The best thing about this month is that all of the movies that I have picked were all streaming. So please go check that out. And until next week, guys, stay tuned and stay spooky.